Hello again. You're listening to the Enterprise Joy podcast, Enterprise Strategies for Leaders in Under 5 Minutes. I'm Vishal, your mover and shaker, making you move towards thinking in bets this week. Today we are moving away from the why of thinking in bets and to the how of thinking in bets, starting with the science that makes it work, the base rates, the overconfidence trap, the outcome bias, and why process-driven decisions tend to outlive the flashes of luck. So let's look into some science first, starting with base rates, the unglamorous starting point for most leaders, which they skip. Daniel Kahneman and Tversky proved decades ago that when we predict the future, we tend to favor vivid specifics. In their classic experiments, people ignored the obvious probabilities and went straight to the story that just felt right. And their fix was to begin every major decision with the historical data for similar situations. For example, if you're thinking of hiring a VP of sales, don't just trust the charisma in the room that the person brings. Look at the success rates for similar profiles in similar markets. Next up, overconfidence trap. Psychologists Don Moore and Paul Healy broke it into 3 patterns: overestimating your own abilities, overplacing yourselves above the others, and being far too certain in our estimates. And the last one is sneaky. It's when you say that you're 90% sure, but in reality, you are barely 60% there. What that translates into is that most leaders are running tighter, riskier bets than they think. Third on our list is outcome bias. We are wired to judge our decision based on how it turned out, not the quality of the process at the time. And that's how bad calls get rewarded when they get lucky, and smart calls get penalized if they get unlucky. The danger over here is that you end up doing more of the bad processes simply because they have worked a couple of times. The antidote for this is cultural. Review the decisions for process quality while the facts are fresh, instead of looking at the final scoreboard. This is where process-driven decision-making shows its grit. The Good Judgment Project. It's a forecasting tournament that pitted everyday forecasters against intelligence analysts. And they found that the most accurate people were not fortune tellers. They were just more disciplined. They started with base rates, made small probability updates whenever new evidence arrived, and they openly challenged each other's assumptions. Small, frequent updates outweigh the rare dramatic shifts. And in leadership terms, that's adjusting your strategy every week, not just once a year. McKinsey's work on behavioural strategy backs this up. Structured decision processes, explicit alternatives, and independent challenges. These consistently produce better outcomes. It's never about one genius call, it's about making good calls more often, regardless of who's in the room. So how do you put this into practice? So here's your challenge for today. First, anchor on the base rate. Before your next big decision, write down the historical success rate for similar cases. If you don't have the data, then agree on a credible reference with your team. Next, publish your confidence band. State your range, even if it feels uncomfortably wide. Then check back later to see how often you are inside your range, and this will build your calibration. Third, score your process. Make it a routine to ask, did we start with the outside view? Did we have a list of alternatives? Did we define what would make us change our mind? And finally, update little and often. Revisit the big bets on cadence. Move the odds up or down as new evidence comes in, and shorter cadence are preferred than longer ones. You may want to rewind and listen to this list again, so here's a quick reflection before you do that. Which decision on your plate right now is being judged only by its results? If the outcome was bad but the process was solid, would your team still call it a good call? And if not, you have got a process culture problem to solve. So go ahead and try these out today and write to me on podcast@enterprisejoy.com and let me know how it went. Tomorrow we'll turn this science into hands-on framework for writing your decisions explicitly as bets. Until then, I'm Vishal and this is the Enterprise Joy podcast. Enterprise strategies for leaders in under 5 minutes. Be smarter with your bets today. I'll see you tomorrow.